Hey guys, myself Rakesh. Today we are going to learn on API automation on UiPath for Google Workspace, right? So we have seen in the API series, we have gone to multiple websites, got the APIs, and we did a couple of automations in the previous set of videos. But on this one, we are going to specifically focus on Google Workspace, right? On Google Workspace. So when I say Google Workspace, the first question that generally comes to our mind is what is Google Workspace, right? So for example, when I say Gmail, if I ask you Google Calendar, so these are the products everybody in today's world must have used it or might have used it. Then you have Google Drive, you have Google Sheet, Google Docs. Likewise, there are multiple products. So earlier, all these products were known as G Suite products. Recently, they have changed it to Google Workspace. So Gmail, Google Calendar, I mean, it's a collection of Google products, you can say. Now, can I automate Gmail? Can I send emails from UiPath using the API options available? Can I create a calendar event on Google Calendar using any APIs available by Google? Can I do something around Google Drive? Can I create a Google Sheet like we do it on Excel file? Can I do the same things on Google Sheet as well, right? So yes, the answer is yes, we can do it. So for that, you have to go through a couple of settings. For example, what are the different activities I am going to show you and how do you really get those activities? Everything in detail, step by step, we will go through. But let's understand what are the actions that we can take using this API options available from Google. I can send mail messages, I can get mail messages, I can add attendees, create event, create a calendar event, delete a calendar event, modify event. Likewise, there are a lot many things. Okay, then in the Drive you have copy file, create folder, download file from the Google Drive. All this we can do from the Google Sheet. Create a range. All the Excel activities that you must have seen. Almost similar activities we can also do on Google Sheet. So these are the various different options that we can automate on the Google products. So let's see that in detail, okay? And there are many multiple things that we can do. So how it can be done, let me show you. So all you have to do, I'm going to explain you step by step. And you need to do the same steps on your studio or on your, whatever the steps I'm going to talk about, you need to do it along with me, okay? That's where, otherwise, once you go to the end of this video, you will be completely confused. Wait, what did I missed, right? So let's do it step by step. Okay, that's why I have designed this PPT so that it's going to help you. Okay, so the very first step is you need to install the package for UiPath Studio to get connected with the Google Workspace. I need to, earlier known as Google. So what is, when I say Google Workspace, you should be able to understand what do I mean by Google Workspace. Is the collection of different Google products like Mail, Calendar, Drive, Sheet, Google Sheet and all that. Okay, so first step is I need to install something called Google Workspace. Earlier this was known as Google G Suite. Okay, and now the name has been changed to Google Workspace. Okay, remember that. Okay, now let's do it. Let's go to my UiPath Studio. Now on the UiPath Studio, I should click on Manage Package. Okay, very first step. So do it along with me. And here you need to click on Official. All packages, I'll go with official, and here you can type G Suite. So the moment you type G Suite, this is the Google Workspace you will find. If you type Google Workspace for some reason, I think we need to pass a feedback to UiPath team. So when I'm typing Google Workspace, it's not really pulling out. But if I type G Suite, they might fix it. Okay, when you type G Suite, this is the activity you need to, this is the package you need to install. So what this package contains, this package contains different APIs. APIs for the Google Calendar, APIs for the Google Docs, API for the Google Drive, API for the Gmail, API for People Service, API for Script, API for Sheets, Google Sheets. Okay, so all these things this package contains. So first of all, you need to install this package. So I have already installed it. You would find an install button, install it and hit on save. By doing that, it'll take some time to install the entire package. Okay, so once the package is installed, where do you really find that? If you go to Projects tab, Here you find UiPath.gsuite.activities, or in the future they might change it to UiPath.Google Workspace.activities. Okay, the name may change. Okay, but again, in the activity name it is saying Google Workspace, but once installed it is saying .gsuite. So this is a small error. UiPath team will fix that. Okay, so in the future if you are watching, don't worry. So it will say, it might say G Workspace or Google Workspace .activities, or it might stay as it is. So once you have this activity, if you go to your activity panel, okay, activity panel, what you do, you minimize everything. Okay, whatever it's open as of now, minimize everything. Okay, so here if you click on the filter, show categories. Okay, if this is unchecked, then you will not find proper category. Ensure this is checked. Okay, show categories is checked, and once it is checked, what I'm going to do, I'm going to minimize everything on my system, and then I will go to integrations, and then there is something called Google, and there is something called Workspace. Okay, so here you have all the different activities. For example, for Gmail you have activities, set of activities. For calendar you have set of activities. For Google Docs you have set of activity. For Google Drive you have set of activities. Okay, so likewise you have, and then for sheets, okay, for sheets again you have set of activities. Getting it? So this is the first rule. Okay, now how to use that I'm going to show you, but this is the only the step 1 is complete. There is another couple of steps that we have to really do it. Okay, all right, so for that what I'm going to do, first thing I would advise you to open, let me go to the presentation. This is the step 1 we have done. Now the second step is you have to log into something called console.cloud.google.com. okay, this is going to appear something like this, console.cloud.google.com. so let me log into console.cloud.google.com. I will say console.cloud.google.com. Getting it? We are going one step by step. Very good. So once you are here, you might find the screen something like this. Okay, your screen might appear something like this. You can dismiss this. Okay, it will ask you to start your free trial and all that. You can dismiss that if you don't need it. So for learning purpose, it's not, it's up to you. I have dismissed it. And then here you have something, here you find something called select project. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to create a new project in the console.cloud.com. so once you are in the console.cloud.com, you need to create a new project. So here it says select project. For me, because I have already created a project, you see a name. Otherwise, if you click on it, you will find something called new project. So click on the new project button. Okay, click on the new project button, and here let's give it a name. Let's say I would like to say UiPath Google Automation. UiPath Google Automation. Okay, now why we are creating a project? Okay, so you like Google Workspace can be, there could be multiple applications in the market. UiPath Studio would like to connect, maybe a Blue Prism application would like to connect, maybe Automation Anywhere application would like to connect. There could be thousands of applications who would like to utilize the Google Workspace, right? So now how Google will understand for which one you are creating? Getting it? So you have to create a project, so it gives sense. Okay, this one you are creating for UiPath Studio. Getting it? Why we are creating a project? So that's why I'm giving it a name, UiPath Google Automation. In simple terms, I'm creating a project and hit on create. So Google Workspace is there on the cloud. There could be multiple desktop applications or multiple applications who would like to connect with Google. So that's why we are creating a specific project for each one of them. Okay, now because we are concerned only on UiPath, right? So I'm creating a project called UiPath Google Workspace. So here you can see the notification has come. Create a project UiPath Google Automation. Here select project, or else from the drop down also you can select the project. Okay, so here you can see I've selected the UiPath Google Automation. This is simple. What we did, we went to console.cloud.google.com, and then we have created a project. Why we have created a project you have understood. Okay, let's move on to our next step. What is our next step? Once the project is created, right, we need to click on API, services and library. So how is that done? Let me show you. Okay, so now here I am. So I am on the the project which I have created, I have selected that. Okay, I am in the same project. Now what you do, hit on dashboard, hit on the dashboard. So now where I am entering inside the project which I have created. Okay, now once it is there, okay, so here you can find something called you can click on this button, or else maybe one option should be here. Yeah, here it is. Explore enable APIs, right? Explore enable API, you can click on that, or else in simple ways, I will show you both the ways. Okay, this is one way, or else the other way is, once you select the project, you can also click on this breadcrumb symbol, and here you have something called API services, and click on library. So both the things will take you to the same space. So you can see I am in the same space or the same page. Okay, so API library, if I go back, look at it, I am on the same space. So if you click on the library, so little bit of navigation, you should be very comfortable. Okay, so once you're in the library, what you do, because what is our intention? My intention is to enable automation for Google Mail, Google Calendar, Google Drive, Google Sheet and all that, right? So what you do, as of now, there are only 5 different things which can be automated through UiPath. In the future there could be more. So what are those? Let's see it. What you do, once you are on the library page, okay, once you are on the library page, you need to scroll down, and there you find something called Google Workspace. Okay, and now in the Google Workspace there are multiple different applications: Google Drive API, Google Calendar API, Gmail API, Google Sheets API. So what you do, I'm going to click one of them first. Let's say Google Drive API. So for this API you need to enable. What I'm doing, I'm simply going to the library. So there are multiple products. Now you don't want to automate all the products, right? It could be 1, 2, 3 or 4 or 5 different couple of products you would like to automate. Maybe there's a necessity to automate the calendar. So that time you just have to enable calendar. You don't need Drive. So depending on your need, you can choose that product and enable the API. So what I have done, I have enabled. The status has changed to enabled. Let's go back to the library once again, and let's enable it. I need to also automate Google Calendar. So for that I will go to Google Calendar. It's up to your requirement. Then I'm going to enable it. So likewise, you will go and enable number of products that you really need for your automation. Based on that, you need to enable all of them or some of them. Okay, so here let me enable. Anyways, we have to learn all these things, all these activities available on UiPath Studio. Let us enable it. So I have enabled for Google Drive this one. Now let's go to Gmail API. Enable. Okay. So don't click on any of these options here as of now, just wait. Now go to library once again. So what are the things we have done? Until Gmail we have done, right? Okay, Gmail API. Now let's do it for Google Sheets. So I'm enabling all of them so that later on I don't have to really come again and enable. So everything is enabled. Okay, so Google Sheet API. Okay, this is enabled. What else is there? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. There should be one more. Okay, so it's fine. You can click on view all 19 and depending on the requirement. So Google Drive, Google Calendar, Gmail and Google Sheet, these are the important ones which I have enabled. So once it is enabled, where do you really find it? Okay, so I'm showing you because you need to be very familiar with this page. Okay, so if you click on enabled API and services, if you scroll down, all the default APIs which are by default enabled, otherwise the things that you have enabled, let's say Gmail API I have enabled, Google Calendar API I have enabled, and then Google Drive I have enabled, Google Sheet I have enabled. So if you click on any of those, it will open the page and going to show you whether it's enabled. Is it a public API or not? Can I call it from the public? So public API means anybody, like I'm on my personal laptop and I'm trying to call, it's a public API. So if it is private, then it will be only accessed within an enterprise environment. Inside an enterprise environment only I can access those APIs. So this is a public API, so anybody can access the API and do the learning. So this much is done. So what we have done till now, we have enabled all the APIs, right? We went to API services, we selected the project, we went to API services and went to library, and in the library we have selected whatever we went to Google Workspace and enabled all of this. Okay, click on that and simply hit on enable. That's all. So this is all you have to do. What are the 2 steps we have done? One is on the UiPath Studio we have installed Google Workspace activities, and the second thing we have done, we went to console.cloud.google.com and we have enabled all the required APIs by going to the library. That's all we have done. So this is your primary step for you to start your UiPath projects. Okay, so this is done. So now we have enabled, so you have successfully enabled Google Calendar API. So we are happy. These are the 2 steps. I hope till now all of you who are watching this video should have already done it without any trouble. Okay, let's move on. What is the next thing? So I have enabled something called Google Cloud. Now I have UiPath Studio as a different desktop application. So how this desktop application can access the console.cloud.google.com? Is there any connection that we have made until now? We have just installed the package, but again, those package, did it make, I might have, one person may have 4 different Google accounts. Possible, I can have 4 different multiple Gmail accounts. You can have multiple Gmail accounts. So how does your UiPath Studio understand, hey, I need to connect to this particular account to access those APIs, right? So there has to be some connection has to be built, isn't it? So how to build that connection? We are going to see that. Okay, how do you really build that connection? I'm going to show you with a very simple example, but again, for that, so these 2 things is clear, right? How do you enable? So once this is done, now it is the next set of things that we are going to learn. Okay, so I am still in the API and services. What I'm going to do, I'm going to hit on credentials. What I'm going to do, I'm going to hit on credentials. Now here in the credentials, generally if I ask you, hey, you need to access Gmail, or you need to access any particular product, Gmail or Google Calendar or Google Drive. If you are on a different system, or you are accessing a browser from your friend's laptop, what is required for you is the username and password, right? The moment you open the browser, it will ask you, hey, enter your username, enter your password. The moment you enter and verify yourself, that is where from the browser it can connect to the Google server and show your Google mails, right? So there has to be always an authentication method. Either you authenticate using username, password, or there could be any other authentication method available. Soft tokens, writing some token numbers, right? Pins. So these are different ways to access something. Same way to access all these APIs that we have just enabled. To give permission to the UiPath Studio to access those APIs which are sitting in the console.cloud.google.com, we need to create some mechanism for UiPath Studio to connect directly with those data. So how that can happen? That can happen through 3 different ways. Either you can create an API key, or else you can go for a OAuth. What is OAuth? This stands for Open Authorization. Open Authorization means like a username and a password you have, right? Similar way, on this one you will get a client ID name and the client secret password. Like username and password you say, same way OAuth means open authorization. Open authorization which is going to create a client name, client ID and a client password. Client ID and a client password. What are those? I'm going to show you. But again, these are 3 different. Using an API key I can access, using a OAuth, or using a service account. These are the 3 different ways one can access. So let's understand that little bit in detail. So now what we have done, we have installed the package on UiPath Studio. Second thing, we have enabled all the APIs on console.cloud.google.com. Now we have to create a username and passwords or an API key using which our UiPath Studio can connect with that APIs. So there are 3 different methods Google is currently providing, which are you can connect with. If you are any desktop application or you are any kind of a web application, you would like to utilize products of Google, then your application should connect with Google applications through some authentication methods. And there are 3 different authentication methods. The first one is the API key. An API key is the simplest authentication mechanism but can be used only with Google Sheet activity. If you are only need to automate Google Sheet, then you should go with API keys. As you know, that is the provision that UiPath and Google has for UiPath Studio to really work on the products of Google. If you have to go for the API key, only Google Sheet activities you can utilize. Otherwise, you can't utilize any other activities. Like you can't automate Gmail, you can't automate Google Calendar, Google Drive, anything apart from Google Sheets. Okay, so that is the restriction as of now which is there. If you go for the second option, OAuth, so all this I have shown you right on the page. OAuth. OAuth stands for open. O stands for open authorization. Methods works with all the G Suite services. I mean, you can automate Gmail, Calendar, Drive, Sheet, any other products, right? So all those products can be worked with O authorization method. However, it is recommended for attended automation because user consent is required before robot can access your Google account. What it happens means, for example, when I'm going to show you all of it. Okay, so the moment I create an automation, when somebody runs it, what happens? There will be a page which will open on your browser asking, hey, UiPath Studio would like to access your account so and so. So if you have multiple accounts, it will show which account you would like to access. So based on the API key that we have got, so I'm working on a given account, right? So that specific account, if I choose, I'm going to show all of this in demo. The moment I select that, now UiPath Studio will understand, hey, I need to access that, and so this has to be done for attended automation because user permission required. Google doesn't want you to do unattended and take out data from somebody's, so that is not very secure. So this is only possible on attended automation. Okay, somebody has to be there to really attend that. So once you have given authorization, next time when you run, it doesn't ask you multiple times. Once you have given access to UiPath Studio, then it can happen automatically. I'm going to show you all of that. Please know that when creating credential, it is the type should be other. I'm going to show you how do you really set that up. The third method is service account key. What is the service account key? A service account key is a special type of Google account that belongs to your application instead of an individual end user. Like you have a Google account, similar way for an application, I can create a service account for that application, and that requires different permissions. Okay, without those permissions, it is not possible. So all of this we are going to learn one by one how that really works. Everything I'm going to show you one by one. How do you create a name, how do you create a client ID, how do you create a service account in the second video, because this will be a very lengthy video. Let's meet in our second content. Thank you guys, take care, bye bye.